Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips. Joining me again today, filling in for Jeff, is James. We're going to go over wide receiver and tight end rankings. But before we get into that, I just want to make sure you guys go check us out on Twitter. We're at the FF Prophet on there. Go to Instagram, Fantasy Football Prophet. Go to the website, fantasyfootballprophet.com. All the rankings that we go over will be on the website. I'll keep them up to date throughout the weekend. You know, as the games get closer, we hear more about injuries, all of that good stuff. You know, it'll always keep changing as we go. So make sure you guys check us out on there. And also, you can always email us at fantasyfootballprophet.com if you have any questions going into this weekend. How about we take a look at some wide receivers here? I've had the same number one wide receiver every single week this year, so it's probably going to be no surprise to everybody. It's Antonio Brown, my number one, and I just slot him in there every week. Doesn't matter who he's playing. I don't care. Number one for me. Who's your number one?
I almost did the same, but then, I don't know, just thumbing through Twitter and everything and seeing the Falcons coach Dan Quinn saying he wants to get Julio the ball more, and they're going against the Patriots. So I put Julio number one, Brown number two.
Okay, it makes sense. I mean, I put Julio number two. So it's the matchup against New England. They need to try to get Julio going. He's completely mediocre this year, which is just surprising. I mean, he's not been great at all. Not been even very good. He's just been okay. So for us ranking him second or first and second is maybe a little high, but we know the talent's there.
Yeah, this year's just been a disappointment. Like the season ranking for wide receiver and standard, he's number 34.
34. Wow. I didn't realize it was that low. That's pretty terrible, actually.
So it's kind of like Matt Ryan for me. Like this is his game to prove it. Otherwise, it's time to start dropping him down a little bit.
Yeah, and the problem with somebody like Julio, though, you're always going to start him. It's still, no matter what, you're starting him in your lineup. And so you're just kind of, if they probably got a first-round draft pick here, that's just kind of just disappointing completely. And that's another reason why I hate snake drafts. Just bring up that again. You have to draft a guy like Julio in the first, and you're pretty much screwed. Unless you got lucky later on. But yeah, I'm looking at his numbers here. He's had one 100-yard game on the year, and then his best catch games are a seven catch game. It's just not Julio. That's just terrible for him.
No touchdowns yet either.
These next two games though, New England and Jets, he has to do it. So, yeah, if he doesn't do it this week, he's going to be going to the back end of my top 10. But still, he's going to be a top 10. But, you know. All right, number 3. Who'd you end up slotting in number 3?
I threw in Dez Bryant here just because a good matchup against San Francisco, and I think he probably scores at least once.
All right, I put Dez 4. So, I wish I would have talked to Jeff about this, because I think Jeff probably puts like Dez number 2, maybe even 1.
He loves Dez.
If everyone listening to the podcast knows Jeff's undying love for Dez Bryant, and with the matchup, he would have been up there. But Dez is 4 for me. I think the schedule has gotten easier for him now going forward compared to what it was to start the year. I mean, he had the Giants, Broncos, Cardinals, even the Rams. That was just not a good start. Now he has I think it's much easier for the most part going forward. So I think he's going to be good. Now let's see here. The rest of my top 5. Let's see. I went Brown, Jones. AJ Green is my 3rd. Then Dez 4. Mike Evans 5.
So I moved Mike Evans to 8 only because of Winston's shoulder. I'm not sure how he's going to be with that. I know Fitzpatrick threw him a touchdown last week, but I don't really trust Fitzpatrick.
No, I don't at all. But I guess with Evans, I kind of slot him in there. But if you dive into his numbers too, he's got some touchdowns to make up for it, but if he didn't get those touchdowns, it'd be worse than Julio's numbers, I think, on the year.
And he's been getting a touchdown every other week, so he's due for a 0 this week on the touchdown column.
Yeah, and he still doesn't have a 100-yard game this year. I don't know what it is, but as long as he gets a touchdown, I guess he's fine. But he hasn't had that one overly just great, 8 catch for 120-yard and touchdown game. None of that has happened yet. Hopefully it's there. I guess I can keep slotting him in here. Top 5. Maybe he doesn't deserve it, but who was let's see, did we talk about your 5th then? Who's your 5th?
My 5th, I put Hogan there just because I think he had a down week and he scored a bunch of touchdowns this year. I think he comes back with another touchdown this year.
All right,
this week.
Now I just think Jeff did your rankings, actually.
Yeah. Well, I am a Hogan owner, so I'm a little biased too.
Well, Jeff made the preseason call of Hogan, so he's always up on Hogan. I put Hogan 11. I don't know what that's probably as high as Hogan goes for me. I guess he was a little higher last week, but I guess he did it the down week last week. He did get he got shook up a little bit in the game. Maybe that had something to do with it, but I don't know. He's probably due for the touchdown. He can't go more than 1 week without a touchdown, I guess, the way he's been playing this year. So he'll probably get one, be perfectly fine, I'm sure. So you ranked him ahead of Brandon Cooks then?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Cooks I put at 10, so he's not too much farther down. But just looking at Cooks' number, he only had week 3, he had 2 touchdowns, but other than that, he's got 0 touchdowns. I just think when they get in the red zone, they're looking for Gronk and they're looking for Hogan.
True. Yeah, I actually put Cook 7th. Maybe it's just the fact that I feel like wide receiver gets a little weak after the top guys. So I keep slotting him in here thinking, he could have the big games. But there is some risk there. He's not going to have he's going to have some disappointing weeks. And he has those quite often, but I guess I still rank him off potential, even though I'm not a big Brandon Cooks guy. And I've never been a big Brandon Cooks guy. And even on the year, he's only had 1 in standard scoring. He only has 1 game in double digits. And that was the only game he scored touchdowns. So I don't know. Maybe I do need, actually, think about it. I think I need to move him down the ranks as we're doing it here.
The craziest thing too, he's still ranked number 9 for the season, even though he only has 1 game with touchdowns. So it was a big game, but he's just consistent at like 8-9 points.
I'm going to put him 9th. Move him down 2 spots. That's where he goes this week. If we really dig into his numbers, it's not great. I mean, it's okay, I guess. Could do worse, but yeah, he doesn't get the touchdowns like Hogan does. And obviously Gronk, if Gronk's out there, he's going to be taking away touchdowns anyway. So
yeah,
let's see. What's the rest of your top 10?
All right, so number 6, I have Michael Thomas. I think he has a bounce back. 7, I put Jordy. 8, Mike Evans. 9, Tyreek Hill. And 10, Cooks.
Okay, so I went Jordy at 6, Michael Thomas at 7. I don't know. Then to my number 8, I don't know why I went this high, but it's Larry Fitzgerald, number 8. And then Cooks 9, and Demaryius Thomas at 10, which I always seem to rank Thomas high. I liked his game last week, though. Hopefully he's healthy, but I put him 10. And yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, I don't know. Maybe he had a great game last week, but I think the tail off is going to be happening here. This is what he does. Good first halves, tails off a bit in the second half. Kind of feels like it's time for him to start, slowing down a little bit. What is he? He's on the year, I think, is 7th in standard this year, right around there, which I don't know how he keeps doing this every single year.
Him and AP, I don't know, last week, they just rejuvenated each other.
I guess I'm going to rank him now here until I really see a downfall, which I kind of thought was happening the last 2 weeks before this outburst, because he only had, it was still decent, but he had 10 catches for 83 yards total over 2 games, which is fine. Compared to Amari Cooper, that's amazing. But
that's a whole season for Cooper.
I don't even think Cooper's hit that yet, has he? Maybe close to. But Fitz, I think he'll be good. Yeah. Okay. Before anybody else, I want to talk about Amari Cooper again. Yeah. I bring him up every week because I'm still just in shock at what he's doing. And let me pull up some numbers here for Amari Cooper because I keep bringing him up every week, and I'm okay. 18 catches now for 146 yards and a touchdown on the year. That's a season.
That's 2 games for Antonio Brown.
6 games. 6 games, 18 catches. So he's getting 3 catches a game. It just not even 30 yards a game, 25 yards a game or something. I'm looking at his numbers again. Just that amazes me.
There's no way to explain it.
No, he had 6 yards, 9 yards, 8 yards. Then he really stepped it up this week and had 28.
Like when I hear people talk about him too, they're trying to make excuses for him of like, oh, well, if he had this penalty taken back, or if he would have caught this ball, or if he didn't get overthrown, he would have had a game. And it's like, you shouldn't be saying that about a top talent.
No. And how is Crabtree at 5 touchdowns on the year? Crabtree for the most, and he didn't even play a game. I think he got hurt another. So I don't get it. Okay, at this point, I talk about this every week. A couple weeks ago, I said it might be time. Maybe you should buy low on Amari Cooper. Would you buy low on Amari Cooper right now? I mean, it'd have to be really low.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'd want. I don't know what I'd want to give up for him. I feel like you could almost pick someone off the waivers and then do a little bit better for a few weeks. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, if he's got some injury that they're not talking about, but I mean, he's been really, really bad. And if he didn't have his name, he would be on the waiver wire and nobody would be even talking about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, the only player you trade for him is a player that you're willing to cut off your roster. You're going to pick somebody else up. That's about it. You almost have to look at it as a waiver wire pickup.
I don't see the owner trading him for peanuts either. For them, they might as well just hold on.
No, that's the problem. Yeah, if you're an Amari Cooper owner, why would you trade him right now? It's pretty much impossible. So did you rank Amari Cooper? Where'd you rank him?
Well, he's not even my first Cooper ranked. I have Cooper Kupp ahead of him.
Oh God, this is gonna be.
No,
bad
I put Amari with just other underachievers with Terrell Pryor, Sammy Watkins, Martavius Bryant, and then I have Amari Cooper at 39.
All right, see, I did put him higher. I guess I'm just banking on something. I put him 28. I think this is the week he breaks it. No, probably not, but he's 28. Martavius Bryant's 29, and Terrell Pryor's 30th. And he groups with those guys, but then Sammy Watkins, who's pretty much dead to me at this point, is 50th. I'm done.
He's burned you too many times.
Man, I'm still Sammy Watkins. He's probably the most talked about player on this show, and yeah, he had 1 week. That's about it. One
I have
week.
him in another league, and I really enjoyed that 1 week, but since then he's been on my bench.
Yeah, that 1 week was great. I thought for sure, oh yeah, my Sammy Watkins call of actually being a player you should have on your team was going to look good, but no, he's making me look like an idiot. I guess the only thing I can maybe try to make some kind of argument is the fact that he played Seattle and Jacksonville the last 2 weeks. I mean, can you? Yeah, I mean, right? You can buy into the fact that he played Seattle and Jacksonville, and that's why he's been bad. But I mean, this week I guess gets no better with Arizona, especially if they put Patrick Peterson on him, he's going to do nothing. And then he has a bye, and then he plays the Giants, so they'll probably put Jenkins on him or so whoever. That's not going to be good. Then he plays Houston, who's decent defense. Then he plays Minnesota.
No, yeah, the schedule got a lot harder for him, and I think the beginning of the season was better for him.
Yeah, and then week 12 he plays New Orleans, who we think should be good, as a good matchup, but it really hasn't been. And then he plays Arizona again, and then Philadelphia, then Seattle.
Buy him on the cheap for next year.
No, really, is he droppable at this point?
He's kind of like Cooper.
I don't think he is. He's kind of like Amari Cooper.
I wouldn't drop him.
He's like he's too good to drop, but you can't trade him and get anything.
Burning a hole in your roster.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. I had to go on my weekly Sammy Watkins rant. Just done with him. All right. So did you talk about some other guys who actually are good players. What about Stephon Diggs? Did you move him up the ranks thinking he'll be back this week?
I actually put Adam Thielen ahead of him. I put Diggs at 26. I just don't know with his groin injury how bad that's going to be.
Yep.
So I have him at 26 and then Thielen at 18.
Yeah, I did my little cop-out thing and put Thielen at 20 and Diggs at 21. But Thielen is ahead of him. I just kind of worry about the injury. And it's not even that. Like, Diggs does this a lot, though. He has these huge games, and then he does games where you don't even know if he played. And you wonder if he got knocked out in the first quarter. So that's my worry with Diggs. And I think the talent's there, too. But if it's Case Keenum throwing him the ball, I mean, I don't really know what to expect. And the funny thing, Diggs is still...
Yeah, the first and third game, he was amazing. He had 20 and then 29 in those two games. And then just okay the rest of the way. And then against the Bears, he only had one catch for 4 yards. I think that's when he got hurt. And then he was out last week.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Pittsburgh game, he had 2 for 27. But that's what he does in between those great games. Which, I mean, I guess you could say that about a lot of these guys at this point. I mean, even I guess you could say that Antonio Brown had a 4 for 34. So, I mean, it's pretty much everybody at this point. There's no 100% sure thing every single week at all. Well, I'm just looking through the rankings here just on the year. Let me see here. This puts it at Nelson Aguilar is the 12th ranked wide receiver for the season in standard scoring. I know he's been better than expected, but that kind of shocked me seeing that he's one spot ahead of Mike Evans.
Yeah, he's had a couple of good weeks in a row, and I have him in my top 30. I'm just not ready to buy him in as a top 20 guy just yet. I have him at 29.
See, I don't even have him there. I have him at 38th. I'm completely not buying in yet. Maybe that's just stubbornness on my part, but I'm just not there. I guess he's 31st for the week in expert wise, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I cannot buy into it. It's one of those things I just don't feel like it's real, and I guess it takes me longer to buy into this stuff, but I don't know. I don't see it yet. It feels like it's too many big plays that I just feel like can't be sustainable. But the touchdowns are there, 4 touchdowns in 6 games. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, well then, what about Alshon? What are you doing with Alshon there? Because Alshon, I think he has more talent, but I don't think that they're not treating him that way. He's just another guy to the Eagles. It looks like to me.
I actually put him at 13 this week. Just mainly it's a divisional matchup. I feel like these guys tend to get up a little bit better in the divisional matchups. And he's 23 on the year ranked, so I don't really think, he's not that bad. I don't think it's a big stretch. I think he scores against Washington this week.
And I think people seem to be in line with that. He's 14th for the week, but I put him down at 18th. So obviously you're playing him, but not. I don't know. I'd like to see more from him, just maybe more targets. It's just not. He's fine. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I expected a little bit more from him, but hey, it's not there. I think he'll be solid though. Look and see here. Let me talk some other. I'm actually this guy doesn't play this week, but looking at some of the numbers here, Will Fuller is actually he's ahead of Alshon on the year with only 8 catches.
Didn't I hear someone say like his catch rate is something like on pace for like 50 touchdowns for the year?
This is ridiculous. He only has 14 targets on the year. That's what, in 3 games. 14 targets, 8 catches, 5 of them touchdowns. That's just, I feel like that kind of stuff, at least you don't have to worry about it this week. He's not playing this week, but, that stuff is that's crazy numbers to me. I don't understand how that's even possible. It seems completely unsustainable.
He catches it.
I mean, that is a little bit, but
50% of the time he's catching a touchdown.
That's just crazy. All right, let's see. Let me see if there's any other interesting guys. Okay. Well, you still got Nelson up there. What about Devontae Adams with his new quarterback?
Adams, I actually have him at number 20, just because New Orleans doesn't have the greatest pass defense. And he caught a touchdown last week. I don't know. I think he does all right this week.
Yeah, I put him at 20 as well. He's my 20th ranked. And for a little bit there, it kind of looked like Cobb might be taking over a little bit of that from him, but no, that's not happened. Cobb's just kind of, maybe with the new quarterback, I don't know, but Cobb's kind of, he's an afterthought at this point, it looks like to me.
I think the Rodgers injury hurts Cobb the most.
Really, yeah. I put Cobb 35th.
Oh, actually, I have him at 34th.
So we got about the same on those guys. But yeah, it feels like he's just not getting looked at right now. And again, disappointing for me because I am a Cobb owner, people know about. And yeah, Cobb and Sammy Watkins, my 2 and 3 right now.
Cobb was starting to bring it on, but I don't know. I feel like with that injury, it just kind of really moves him down a lot.
Yep, and Adams is just kind of taking that spot completely, I think, at this point. All right, let me see if there's any other interesting guys that I'm just... Okay, what about Willie Snead? I know he didn't do much at all last week. But people keep expecting him that he's back to do something. Are you thinking there's anything there? You're going to wait and see?
I'm still waiting and seeing. I wouldn't plug him into my lineup just yet. I mean, I think he has an okay game, but nothing worth trying to put in. I would say like 40 or 50 yards. But I have him at 45 right now.
Yeah, he's in my 40s. He's like 41st for me right now. I mean, I think the talent's there. I don't think at any point, if Michael Thomas isn't getting all the targets and getting big numbers, why is Willie Snead going to do it too? It's just, the ball gets thrown around everywhere, and I think they probably want to run the ball a little more at this point. They have a better running attack, I think, than the new passing attack.
And their offensive line's pretty good, too, for running, so why not take advantage of that?
Are any other interesting wide receivers you want to talk about before we move to tight ends?
I think just Benny Fowler's worth taking a look at with Emmanuel Sanders being out. I put Benny Fowler at 30. He had a couple of touchdowns the first week, and I just kind of think he steps into that Emmanuel Sanders role pretty well. That's
true. I probably need to rethink that one. I put him at 51st, one spot behind Sammy Watkins. And yeah, if Sanders is out now for sure, we know that. So I mean, and Thomas, I guess, is banged up too. He left the game the other night. I don't even know how many times he left out. It looked like he hurt his ankle about 3 times during the game. So yeah, and Fowler just seems to be a part of it. You kind of see every time you watch a Denver game, you see him at least a couple times. Not like he's completely non-existent. So I mean, not bad. He's got 24 targets on the year, which is pretty solid. So I think they definitely see an uptick.
The Chargers don't have a great pass defense either, so I think it's something where Benny can kind of step in and have a little bit of success right away.
Yeah, and it's probably a good. I might have to rethink that on him for that. All right, let's move to tight ends. Again, my rankings of tight end doesn't really change every week. I've had the top 3 the same for, I don't know, it's been going on about at least 4 weeks now probably. It's Gronk number 1, Travis Kelce number 2, and Zach Ertz number 3.
I've got basically the same. Do Gronk 1, Ertz 2, Kelce 3. Like you said, yeah, you can't really argue the top 3.
That's exactly what the expert consensus says too. It goes Gronk, Ertz, Kelce. But if you have one of these 3, you're fine. You're starting them every week. You're not really too concerned. You'll play him. Ertz just every week he keeps doing it. You know, last week he only had 2 catches, but they were both touchdowns. So he's been, great all year.
I would have been worried a little bit about just only having 2 catches for 2 touchdowns, but the rest of the year he's been getting a ton of yards. So I think he's just fine to play.
Yeah, 53 targets on the year, 34 catches. It just, with the way the tight ends are this year, you're going to take that and be extremely happy with it. Because I think once you get past the top 3, it's just, it's interesting. So what about number 4?
Number 4, I'm going to go with a guy who I'm going to say definitely scored 2 touchdowns last week, but they only gave him 1 with Safarian Jenkins. I don't know how they called that back.
Doesn't make any sense to me. I saw a few calls this past weekend that were just kind of no idea why they were that way. Yeah, Safarian Jenkins, I put him at number 6. I mean, obviously we've known for a few years that the guys had talent, but I think he couldn't put it together. He just wasn't, I don't know. He wasn't ready for the NFL, I guess you could say.
Now that he's the best option for the Jets.
He is by far, and yes, he's 6. And how weak the tight ends are this year. You're playing him. He's a tight end 1 every week, so yeah, it makes sense to put him at 4. And I can see that over the guys I have. I have Evan Ingram at number 4, but the Seattle matchup is it's tough, so it makes I probably have him higher than others.
Actually, put him at 5.
Okay, yeah, I don't see anybody else they're throwing the ball to, even if Shepard plays. Ingram is, he's essentially a wide receiver at this point. He really is. He's a wide receiver that you can play at tight end in your lineup, it looks like.
Which is a huge bonus if you're able to pick him up.
Yeah, really. Yeah, because he's going to play at wide receiver just as much as probably more than he does tight end. He doesn't block. He's going to just be out there catching balls. So that's a good one. And then my number 5 is Cameron Brate. Put him number 5 this week. He seems to be doing pretty good every week. And O.J. Howard is not seeming to take anything away at all from Cameron Brate.
No, not at all.
Not even slightly. Yeah. O.J. has only 5 catches on the year. And tight ends seem to take a while to develop. So Brate, I put him up there. Where'd you put Brate?
I have Brate at number 7, so not too much further down.
But yeah, it's kind of, it is ugly around here.
Yeah, I feel like 4 through 8, you can be interchangeable.
Right? Who is 6 for you then?
6, I had Delaney Walker, just because he's going against Cleveland, and they're not great against a tight end either.
Yeah, I put Delaney in 6 too. And I guess I have not been the biggest Delaney Walker fan, but when in these last 4 weeks, haven't been very good. But still, if you're at this point, if you're getting a tight ends getting 3-4 catches, I guess you got to use them. That's just kind of the way it's been this year for these players.
Yeah, you almost are happy to get like 50 yards out of a tight end if you don't have one of the top 3 guys.
Really,
That's basically all you can hope for at this point.
That is kind of what you're looking for almost at this point. So, okay, who's the rest of your top 10 then?
So I had Evan Ingram at number 5, Delaney Walker at number 6, Cameron Brate at 7, Jimmy Graham at 8, Hunter Henry at 9, and then Jordan Reed at 10.
Yep, I had Walker at 7 this week. I was mistaken on that. So let's see here. So after Walker at 7, I had Jimmy Graham at 8. I had Hunter Henry at 9, even though he's going against Denver. I know Denver's great, but tight ends aren't quite. It's a little different. And Hunter Henry's getting more and more of the, looks there. And then I actually put number 10. It's George Kittle. I went a little nuts there. Maybe. Probably. Way too high.
Okay, yeah, I have him at 11.
Okay, so no, I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm in the same spot. And I actually heard a stat that makes me feel a little bit better about that, that he played with C.J. Beathard in college.
Yeah, they just played last year together, so people, they definitely have chemistry. Then he's thrown the ball to him. Why not? He's gonna be
looking for him.
In these past 2 weeks, he's been decent. 7 for 83 and a touchdown week 5. Then last week 4 for 46, which is weird that I see 4 for 46 and think, yeah, that's pretty solid. But that's the way it is right now. It is.
At this point, you got to take it. Yeah.
Well, and then Jordan Reed's my 11th. I don't know what it is with him. I thought if he's healthy and playing, he's going to be a top option every week, but that hasn't been the case, even when he's healthy.
And Vernon Davis has looked pretty good too.
Yeah, he has. And they're not just looking for Jordan Reed. He 4 for 37. That's Jordan Reed should be much better than that. His best game on the year is 6 for 48, no touchdowns. At this point, I need to see something going on until I play him, or at least rank him up higher. But I guess if you have him on your team, you're probably playing him.
Yeah, you have to, because there's not much better on the waiver wire.
I went Kyle Rudolph at number 12, which, I don't know. After that, to me, it is just kind of a wasteland. Not excited about any of those guys.
At 12, I went Nick O'Leary, just because he's filling in for Clay. They don't have a lot to throw to, and in his first game, he had 5 for 54. So again, I'll take that.
No, and honestly, at this point, when you get down to this level, if you're looking at a player like this, I think you just kind of take a chance. You might want to, or are you going to play Jared Cook? You want to play Jared Cook? No. Colby Fleener, Julius Thomas, Benjamin Watson. I don't want to play any of those guys.
No, not at all.
Maybe
I'll take a risk with O'Leary.
Maybe Austin Hooper because it's New England this week. Maybe. But even him, he's so up and down. He's not like a huge part of the offense right now. So I like his talent. It's just if he's last week he had probably finally got some targets. He had 7 catches, but only 48 yards out of it. So maybe he's an option, but I guess I got to see something out of him too.
Well, if you take away that first week, he's basically useless.
Yeah, he has been. This past week was the first time he's shown anything. It's just because he would have been a lot better in PPR with the 7 catches, but it's still in standard 48 yards, only giving you 4.8, which I expected more from Hooper. After first week, it looked great, but not. And I guess it's just the Falcons' offense as a whole. So
yeah, they're just taking a big step down after Shanahan left.
Yeah, this is the week to prove it for them, I guess. So that's about it. I don't have any other tight ends to talk about because I hate the rest of these guys. I say this every week.
It's just a big pile of nothing.
Even Martellus Bennett. I look at him every week and I always rank him like top 15, and I don't understand why.
Hopefully the people out there have one of the top 5 guys and you don't have to worry about any of this.
Yep, that's for sure. All right, but I think that's going to do it. I got nothing else to talk about tight ends. So that's going to wrap it up for the ranks. Thanks to James for filling in for Jeff. So
thanks for having me.
You still rank the wide receivers like Jeff does, but he'll be happy to hear that. But that'll be it for this show, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.